I, George Herbert Walker Bush.
His most fervent desire was to be the president who made the United States a kinder, gentler nation, shining with 1,000 points of light.
We will turn to the only resource we have that in times of need always grows, the goodness and the courage of the American people.
The march to the White House for George Herbert Walker Bush, the 41st president, marked the culmination of a lifetime of service. He was born here in Massachusetts, at the family's home on Adams Street in Milton in 1924. As a student at the prestigious Phillips Academy in Andover, he became a student body leader, captain of the baseball and soccer team. During his senior year, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor shook the nation. Bush enlisted in the Navy as soon as he turned 18, and he flew more than 50 combat missions. Shot down over the Pacific, he was rescued by an American sub. The sorrow over the loss of his crew members was said to have stayed with Mr. Bush his entire life. After the war, he graduated from Yale, became an oilman, and a 2-year congressman from Texas. During the Nixon years, Mr. Bush was appointed ambassador to the UN and chair of the Republican National Committee.
People said to me the other day, "Do you think the president knew about Watergate?" I said, "He didn't know about Watergate." And they said, "How do you know?" I said, "Because I believe the president."
Under Gerald Ford, Mr. Bush became the U.S. liaison to China and director of the Central Intelligence Agency. In 1980, he went for the big prize, the presidency. His key opponent in the primaries was Ronald Reagan.
I am much more convinced than ever that I will be the Republican nominee.
But it was not to be. Reagan won that nomination, but took his old rival with him.
I am recommending to this convention that George Bush be nominated.
The Reagan-Bush ticket handily defeated President Jimmy Carter, and George Bush would spend the next 8 years as vice president. But 1988 would be the year. Mr. Bush won the nomination, chose a young Senator, Dan Quayle, as his running mate, and battled Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis all the way to Election Day.
My argument with the governor is, do we want this country to go that far left?
He also made a promise that would win him votes, but would haunt him later.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
Bush-Quayle won with 54% of the votes. During the Bush presidency, the Berlin Wall fell. The Soviet Union dissolved. But it was Operation Desert Storm that proved to be both a challenge and a triumph. The goal was to push Iraq out of Kuwait. President Bush assembled an international coalition to rout Saddam Hussein's army.
He's got to get out of Kuwait.
President Bush also signed the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Clean Air Act, and fought for the controversial NAFTA agreement, but a sluggish economy would bring him down. To reduce the deficit, President Bush agreed to raise taxes, and his anti-tax pledge went out the window. Bill Clinton denied him a second term. After leaving the presidency, he mostly left politics behind, staying out of the limelight even when his son became president. In retirement, the senior Bush and his wife Barbara spent time at one of their homes in Kennebunkport, and he raised millions for charity, even joining his rival Bill Clinton to help tsunami and Hurricane Katrina victims. His sense of fun and adventure never left him. For his 70th, 80th, and 85th birthdays, the former president celebrated with skydives. And in 2011, President Obama awarded him the Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor.
I'm a quiet man, but I hear the quiet people others don't. The ones who raise the family, pay the taxes, meet the mortgage. And I hear them, and I am moved. And their concerns are mine.